still on this, the University Teachers Association of Ghana, UTAG, is warning government ahead of its engagement with the International Monetary Fund that it will not tolerate any IMF conditionality that negatively affect the existing agreement between government and UTAG to improve the conditions of service of its members. The university teachers, in a statement, said although it's ready to provide technical support, government must ensure that decisions taken will not be to the disadvantage of labor unions, especially UTAG. Now, joining us on Zoom for more on this is UTAG Secretary Dr. Asare Asante Ano. Thank you so much, Doc, for joining us. You seem to suggest that going to the IMF has not proven to be sustainable. What alternatives have you proposed in the past and any you would propose now?
So thank you and good morning to your viewers. From our statement and with the consultation with our experts, we've seen that it's like over the past 30 years, we seem to be going back to the IMF. And therefore, we concluded that definitely then we are not doing something right. And therefore, one of the solutions we suggested was that we have homegrown experts that could be consulted, and these experts should be an all-inclusive, so it shouldn't be because of party A, party B, or party C. Then these experts will come up with policies that will guide the country for proper economic management, which would also be sustainable.
Well, but in the past, have you proposed any way government could handle managing the economy than to run to the IMF?
Yes, so our experts informed us that, for example, in 2013, they met in Senchi and then they had a 40-year program. Along the line, these were not adhered to. We've had a couple of reports, which probably you might be aware. So for such programs to be effective, it should be in the nature a national agenda. It shouldn't be an agenda. And so normally they run more than the 4 years, which is required by our political system. So sometimes it's a 20-year program, 40-year program. And they have suggested that this is the only way that we should go as a country.
Well, according to the government, a statement they've put out today to explain, they say one of the reasons why we're going to the IMF is for concessional and cheaper financing to shore up our international reserves, to stabilize the cedi, to continue smooth payment of import, including petroleum products, pharmaceuticals, medical equipment, among others, and to restore economic conditions for strong economic growth, including support for government flagship programs, while correcting underlying problems. Now, how is this a problem for government to run to the IMF?
The issue is not running to the IMF. The issue is about maintaining fiscal discipline. Our experts have shown us from the data that have been sometimes less than even 3 years, we still run back. And like in my initial statement, then it means something is fundamentally wrong, irrespective of the government in power. And therefore, I mean, for this particular one, they would have good and enough reasons why they want to go. But ask ourselves is, would it solve the problem? Would it be the last one, or would we still be going for the 19th one?
Well, so Doc, with this, where you said that they might have some reasons why they are going. What do you expect to be done to ensure that we do not run back to the IMF? Because you are talking about homegrown solutions. What must be done?
Exactly. So first of all, UTAG said that we have the experts, which is indeed true. Even in the media, they've already been commenting. And we also emphasize that it should be all-inclusive, the experts who are homegrown, because sometimes when people come from abroad, they profile solutions which might not necessarily suit what we already have. From your prior discussion, there are already some socio-economic situations which are pertinent to the Ghana situation. So these homegrown experts are already aware, and they would give policies or recommendations based on this. And also, like I said, it should be a national program. It shouldn't be political, because you realize that even from your analysis and from other media, this might even go beyond a year. Sometimes it's even can be 2 or 3 years, which means it can go beyond one government to another government. Therefore, these experts should be assembled. First of all, most of the policies are technical. For example, I've heard this morning a lot of stations talking about food, for example. Are we able to provide enough food for the country? If no, what do we need to do? These are technical questions. Is the rain-fed agriculture enough? If we need irrigation, what can we do? All these are technical questions. Development, infrastructure, the roads that we have, when they are built, how long are they supposed to last? Are they lasting that long, or deteriorates quickly? All these questions should be answered. And we believe strongly that it is only the experts who will be able to guide the policymakers and government to be able to come up with sustainable economic policies, which would then manage our fiscal policy, so that it's not, we do not overspend, or we are able to generate enough revenue, and so our income and expenditure is checked.
Interesting. Now, you say you would not tolerate any IMF conditionality that negatively affect the existing agreement between government and your union in relation to the payment of conditions of service allowance to your members. Government says it does not have the revenue to honor some of its obligations. What do you expect government to do now?
Okay, thank you. And exactly so, again, it goes back to experts. Why experts? Because labor, as you have also discussed with other panelists, plays a very crucial role. Labor would affect the productivity. Now you are getting certain packages from the IMF, but you would need the labor front. And what UTAG is saying is that we've had prior discussion, not only UTAG. If you notice, TUC also made a statement that the IMF package should not disadvantage workers. As we speak now, 4 teacher unions are already on strike. So all that we are saying is that we should have a package that should also serve in the interest of the public worker. And with UTAG in particular, we already had an arrangement with government. You were all aware of the strike. We had to call it off because of an interim measure. And so it is important that even with this economic situation, our members are still suffering. And so it is prudent that whatever engagement is done, they also factor it. And it's important because now they are going to engage. And there are certain sectors which will need to be considered. And that's where the experts again will come in. Because you see, cutting down expenditure and all of that, you will need to determine which area is crucial. And if you don't properly, then you might get a package, but the workforce will not be there, and then productivity is going to be severely affected.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much, Dr. Asante Ano, for joining us here. He is the General Secretary for the UTAG there.